Degree, you say your whole world changed when you were just 9 years old, and your mother revealed to you that your dad was not your biological father. She then told you Mr. Little was your father, yet claimed he's denied you ever since.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Little, you say you are 100% certain you are not her father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Though you admit you were intimate with her mother, you are certain it was months before she became pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Felicia Degree, you are the plaintiff's mother.
Yes, Your Honor.
You argue that you told Mr. Little he was your daughter's father, yet he has rejected her ever since.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow. So, Ms. Degree, take me back to when you first found out Mr. Little may be your biological father.
Well, I was about 9 years old. Me and all my siblings was in the living room, we was discussing fathers. And that's when my mom told me who I believe was my biological father, who had been in my life since I was younger, wasn't. And she told me that Mr. Little was. So when I was about 11 years old, I got his number off a family member that's married to his family member. And I called him up on the phone.
When you were 11?
When I was 11. And I told him who I was, who my mother was, and what I believe. And he told me that he don't know, he need a DNA test, he don't think so. And
Mr. Little, you told an 11-year-old you needed a DNA test?
Yes, I did.
Straight to an 11-year-old?
Yes, I did.
Wow. Tell me your recollection of that call.
She called my house. My wife answered the phone. I didn't know who she was. She said she's Mr. Degree's daughter. You might be my father. I don't know who she is. I was like, I don't know if you is or you're not. We need to take a test to find out.
Did you know who she was?
No, I didn't know who she was. This is my first time seeing her. I ain't know nothing about her.
And so you just decided just to talk about a DNA test with a child?
When she asked me that I might be her father, I was like,
She said might.
She said, no, you my father.
She said, you are my father.
I don't believe I said that.
You said, my mother told me you're my father. So I was like, listen, I don't know if you is or you're not. We need to tell you, we need to take a test.
Ms. Degree, so during this time, did you know she was gonna make that call?
No, I actually did. I didn't know
What
she
was
gonna
your
make that
reaction when you found out she did?
call. When I found out she made the call, I wasn't even angry at her. I was more angry at Mr. Little for telling her that he don't think that he's her father.
And
to
I'm
an
a child.
11-year-old, when you could have just told her, I feel like me and your mom should discuss this instead of telling
Well, why did you call me and tell me that?
Okay.
Why she had to
Because
call?
I wanted to, I made the choice to call you,
If
but
she told you that I might be her father, she should have called and said, listen, we need to get together and get on this right here.
Okay,
Instead
I
of letting the
understand
child
that.
call me
I understand that, but since she didn't, and
First
you being
of
a
all,
grown man, why
when I
wouldn't you
got
say
pregnant, I called you and told you. You told me.
And you also told my brother.
You told me that it was not yours.
All right,
You told my brother?
let's get some order.
You're a liar.
Everyone, let's get some order. I
She
want to
told my
understand
brother?
this. Let's get some order. Did you ever know she was pregnant?
I knew she was pregnant. That's what she told my brother, that it wasn't mine. My brother said, is this gonna be my nephew or niece? No, it ain't your brother's. Okay, I'm cool
Well,
with
if
it.
she told you that,
It's
then
funny, you don't
why you
remember
trying to, why you
coming-
And I
trying
got
to,
documents, hold up,
why
I
you
got a
trying
little
to
proof
reach out?
right here
yours.
that we messed around in August. She tell me in November.
What is that, Mr.
A
Little?
little proof right here.
Let me see.
When we messed around.
You got a calendar from 24 years ago?
Hey, listen,
wow.
baby, I do my homework.
I don't even
I do
keep
my
a calendar
homework.
from last year,
Let
but
me
you
tell
got a
something.
calendar from 24
Hey,
years
Dig,
ago.
I do my homework.
Sure, you right.
All right.
So,
Sure, you right.
Mr. Little, what you did is you created a calendar.
Exactly.
To illustrate.
I created a calendar to illustrate, but 3 months later, she tell me she pregnant a month later. I don't know
So,
if she
let
Houdini
me-
or what. How do you come
Let
up
me
3
walk
months later
through-
pregnant?
Let me walk through
Okay.
your evidence. On the first page, you say you saw Ms. Degree in November.
We messed around.
And she told you she was 1 month pregnant at that time.
Yes, she did.
So you remember that
But
from
now
24
on the
years ago.
second page of your calendar, you claim that you were intimate with her in August, which was just 3 months earlier, so therefore you know that wasn't the window of conception
There you go.
if
Can I
she
say
was
something?
1 month pregnant in November.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Yes, what would you like to add?
If you so-called believe, and if my mom said it wasn't yours, why are you searching for me so-called?
Why I'm
to
searching
see
for you.
If I am your child.
Why I'm searching for you.
But you said
Hold up.
But you just said that you gonna leave it alone, though, right?
The reason why I'm searching for you, because I got a little evidence right here. If they start taking stuff out my check, I'm called, I want to take a DNA test because I want to get it stopped.
Okay, you don't search for her.
$12. Man, you crazy?
Let me see that evidence, sir.
That's what you should have did.
$12. Come on, bro. You went in there. What you talking about $12, man?
My sister, I was there for everything.
So,
Okay.
tell me, how did you find out you were on child support?
I'm at work. HR came to me and said, we got a garnishment. You need to call this number. I call this number. They tell me they taking money out for Miss Degree. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. It's not my child. She done told me twice it wasn't mine. Now she got me on child support.
But my
so what's
thing
going
is
on?
If you were so adamant that wasn't your child and they was taking money out your check, you should have wanted a blood test then.
Hold up, I got that too, baby. I got that too. Hold up, I got the evidence right here.
Got that too.
Hold up, I got this right here from the court. When I went to the court and they tried to get in contact with her for a DNA test, she never showed up. I paid for 2 tests that they never showed up for. Hold up, did I ask you to come to Jersey?
Let's get some order.
Let's get some order.
That $20
They would have wanted their money from you. No, they would have wanted their money, so they would have made sure that you got a paternity test.
I came out of home to this day.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Let's get some order. If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So, Mr. Little, you did or did not show up for this hearing to have genetic testing?
I showed up. I'm the one that asked for it. And they never got in contact with them or they never showed up to take the test.
So when you went to court, no one showed?
No one showed.
And then what happened to your case at that point?
They threw it out because they never showed up.
And so the garnishment...
Stop.
And well, the reason why they obviously stopped it, in my estimation, is because you two didn't show.
Well, I was in a whole nother state.
But no, my point is they don't usually stop a garnishment. Once they're getting it, they don't usually stop it unless they have good cause. My question is, were you ever notified that this hearing was going to exist where you needed to appear?
No, Your Honor, because I would have appeared.
And so when you were asked to give a name, you know, when you went on assistance, you were asked to give a name.
Yes, I was.
Did you give only his name, or were there multiple people?
I gave Cannon Little names.
It should have been multiple names.
Yeah, okay.
Multiple names.
Okay.
You know how you was doing back then, girl.
Oh, please. You didn't even know me back then.
So, ma'am.
You right.
Ma'am, the first man that you told... The first man that you told your daughter was her biological father up until she was 9. Did you give his name to the courts? No. Or because you always knew he wasn't there?
I always knew he wasn't. But he was there. We were together for years. So he was doing the responsibility that Mr. Little should have been doing.
Why didn't you tell her then this is somebody else your dad? Why you had her believing that he was her dad? Then years later, she's 9 years old, you don't tell her I'm her dad.
And granted, that's my fault. But see, me being an adult, I can accept that and take that. But you being an adult and claim the fact that you never took care of her.
I ain't taking care of her.
You sitting here, you sounding stupid.
I ain't sound, you sound stupid.
Talking about, oh, I had multiple this and that.
You did.
Truthfully, you didn't even know who I was. You didn't know me.
We
slept together once. Yeah, we was at a club.
Yeah. Bang,
couple
bang.
times.
And then what that was?
All right.
Let's bring it down a notch.
And matter of fact,
let's bring it down a notch. It's getting disrespectful now, and ultimately you're talking about the encounter that created this beautiful young girl. So if you don't respect the situation, at least respect her enough to have some decorum. Now, Miss Degree, you've been trying to have...
I'm acting very grim.
You've been trying to say something, but I needed to understand this and this evidence. What would you like to add?
I would like to say, he said he been searching or whatever like that because the child support. And I'm not saying he is my father. I'm not saying he not. I'm just here to find out if he is or if he not. But I was...
And that's what you were told.
Exactly. And I was 11 years old, and it took me 5 minutes to get in contact with him. 5 minutes. So you telling me it took you 21 years to find me? How was it that hard? So you must have not been searching. Our family members is married. Our family members is married, so how can it be that hard to get in contact with me? Because
Why should I get in
did it like this.
contact? Why should I
Because you
get
wanted child
contact
support
with
to
you
stop, right?
When
You
your
wanted child
mother told
support
me
to
from the
stop.
beginning, you're not my child.
Well, why did you try to get?
Don't go like that. Why should I look for
he
you?
said, why should he look for me? But he just recently contacted me in 2011, July 29th.
To take a test.
Exactly, because you said, I want to know what's going on, and then we could go from there. I just want to know if you're my child. Why do you want to know if I am, but I'm not? You're a grown man, and just to know that it's a responsibility out there that could be yours, because obviously you thought I was a possibility because you came back to look for me. How could you leave something out there that you believe is yours and just not even want to find out?
Let me ask you something.
How?
Let me ask you.
Being a grown man.
Didn't I reach out to you and ask
I
you
was
to take
a
a
child,
test?
and I acted
When you
like an
got
adult
old-
to find you, right?
When you got older, didn't I reach out to you and said, let's take a test to find out?
That was for child support.
It wasn't for child. Let's
just said
find
it
out.
was.
It's for child support,
You
but
just
we
said
still
it
need to
was.
find out.
He didn't do
So,
that for
Mr.
me.
Gree, though, explain to this gentleman. I'm being generous, sir,
Yes,
because you're
ma'am.
crossing the line now. You're
Yes,
a little
ma'am.
bit, aggressive to this young woman. She's a strong young woman, so I'm letting her hold her own.
All right.
But it's taking all of my maternal instincts. You need to bring it down a notch because
got you.
ultimately she's only acting off of what she was told. Now, Mr. Gree, I would like for you to explain to Mr. Little, in your own words, what was that like after you got that news?
I was kind of distraught. It's like, how could you say that to a child? That's not none of my business. Whatever happened with him and my mom, all that argument that's going on now, I don't have nothing to do with that. I don't even care for the argument. I'm just a child conceived. All I want to know is what's going on. What's going on? Are you? I'm not coming here, I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying you are. You wrong for not taking care of me. I'm not saying none of that because I might not be. So I'm not blaming them, saying you wrong or nothing. I just want to know I'm coming here as an adult. I tried to reach out to you as a kid, but now I'm coming as an adult
And
to
so
see if you are. You're acting very childish. Like, come on now. We can both be grown. We can be grown here.
Mr.
You're coming
Gree,
here for one answer. One
Mr.
answer.
Gree, you submitted photos to the court. So this is you at 11 years old on the left.
Yes.
And then on the right is
Mr. Little.
at age 12.
Yes.
And so, Mr. Little, when you see the photo, do you see any resemblance?
You know, just a little bit. The nose, that's about it, you know.
Mr. Gree, you've brought a witness. I'd like to hear from him. Please stand, sir. And please stand at the podium. Your name, please.
My name's Corey DeGree.
And your relationship to Ms. Degree?
I'm her brother.
Brother.
Wonderful. Sir, what do you have to add?
I have to add that for years, I've watched over my sister. You know, the male figure in her life that she looked up to, because my mom worked hard for us and we had mostly everything we needed. So it was kind of hard to see her go through that because it was times I didn't even want to say things about my father or about my father's side of the family because I didn't want my sister to feel that she had a hole in her because there was one. And that's what, like this photo, if you think about it, it's almost like, what if the test says he's not? It's a little embarrassing, you know, to go through all that. That's somebody working that hard just to make some type of connection with somebody, you know? You got her reaching out several times and then he's dismissive
Childish.
about it.
Yes.
You know, I was there. The day she called him when she was 11, I was right there. And I don't recall him saying it or not, but he hung up the phone on her. And that's not for no type of sympathy or nothing, but he did. And my mother was angry about it, and she called back. She was upset about it. He said, I need a DNA test, and he hung up. Like, what type of, that just explains what type of man you are
Let me
right
ask you
there.
something.
Exactly.
Hold up, the kind of man I am. I'm the one that reached out to come here
ain't
to
no
find
man.
out to see what was going on.
That was for child support.
It wasn't for
He ain't
child. I
reach out
still
more
need to
than-
know.
You said
Yeah, I said,
prior to
but we
right
still
now,
need
you
to
just
know.
said, because they
I
kept
got two
taking
other
money out my
kids.
check.
I got two other kids I took care of. One more wouldn't have made no difference.
Oh, you
right.
can say that now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And so, if you knew for certain she was your daughter and you had those results, how would life have been different?
She'd have been right there with me, like like my kids have been. I wouldn't have denied her. You know, I would have took her in just like my kids, showed her my family, showed her love, had her come stay with me like my kids did. You know, it's bad for both of us. If she is mine, we missed out on a whole lot. Now we grown, and I don't know how it's gonna go, where we gonna go from here.
Well, that's exactly why you are here.
That's why we're here.
Because the truth helps us figure out where we go from here. And I have that truth for you. Are you ready for the results? Hello? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Degree v. Little, when it comes to the paternity of Ms. Jasmine Degree, Mr. Little, you are her father.
This is my father.
Mr. Little, you really seem shocked.
I really am.
Don't cry, Mom. You my dad. I'm not.
Do you want to have something to do with me? You want to meet your brothers and sisters?
I'm open to it.
All right, that's good.
Mr. Moore, you came to court today to prove you are the biological father of 4-year-old Aliana. You and your current girlfriend claim the defendant has played on your emotions for 4 years and has allowed another man to raise your little girl. You are desperate to put the defendant's doubt to rest so you can finally be in your daughter's life. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Scott, you say you are positive Mr. Moore is not your daughter's biological father. Once the test proves you right, you want Mr. Moore to leave you and your child alone. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Moore, you say you've always believed Allie is your daughter. Tell me why.
Yes, Your Honor. I've never seen my child a day in my life.
You've never seen her,
A day in my life.
but you're convinced she's your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why hasn't he seen her? If he feels that way, why hasn't he tried to see her?
I've tried to see her, Your Honor. She blocked me all sources of contact. She even changed her number. I tried to reach out to her on social media. I couldn't even get through on that.
So you have reached out
Yes, Your
through
Honor.
social media and tried her phone number, but she changed her number?
Never
Yes, Your Honor.
about seeing her. Never. He only thing he ever said was, "That's my child. That's my child." Never about seeing her. That's not your kid, so why you have never tried to see her ever, and I don't mind because that's not his kid.
So why do you believe she's denying you're the father? Why?
Because she had sex with another guy at the time.
Well, that's reason to doubt, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
But not deny. That's what you're saying.
Yes, Your Honor.
It still remains that you are a possibility.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So now, what was the nature of your relationship, Ms. Scott?
We met on a dating site. He was kind of like an escape plan for something that I was going through. So
An
I wanted
escape
to,
plan?
Yeah.
Escape plan.
So
I
I
was more
wanted to
than
get
an
away.
escape plan.
I
I
wanted
was
to get
your
away from
boyfriend.
that. I wanted to get away from that. So, I kind of led him on. I wasn't trying to pursue nothing, be no family or anything with this man. We met together. He asked me to move in with him. I moved in with him. We maybe stayed together maybe a month, and I left.
And when was this?
That was in July of 2013.
In July.
Your Honor,
Okay.
we had sex the first night I met her.
We so did not. We did not. We did not. It was not the first night. It was early, but it wasn't the first night.
But when you did have sex, Ms. Scott, did you use protection?
No, it wasn't protected.
Okay. So you moved in for a month.
Right.
Were you faithful during that month, or you all were only seeing one another?
I was still I was currently in a relationship when I met him originally.
When you moved in with him?
Right.
So why would you do that?
Because he was my escape plan. He was my dummy, basically.
Well,
All right. Well, I want you to be honest, but I think you might have just taken it too far.
This was my first love, Your Honor. I cared about her.
You did.
Yes, Your
So your feelings were genuine.
Yes, Your
So when she said she would move in, you thought she cared about you as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you thought you guys were gonna be a couple.
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened once she moved in?
Once we moved in, I mean, we just kind of, we was hanging out and, talking and, I was kind of, playing the role as if I wanted a relationship with him. And, we had, during that time of us living together, we had sex a few times.
Just a few times?
She
Yeah,
left with
a few
another
times.
man, Your Honor.
She left with another man?
Yes,
Which was
Your
the
Honor.
man that I was in a relationship with, which is my child's father.
So what happened when you found out you were pregnant?
I found out I was pregnant September 2013. I was going to the clinic for, my yearly, monthly women's exam. And they came in and said, Miss Scott, you're pregnant. And
Your Honor,
I told
she
my daughter's
called me and
father
told me
that
she
we were
was
gonna have
pregnant.
a baby. I never told Mr. Moore that we were gonna have a baby together. I never told him that.
Your Honor, she called me and told me she was pregnant.
She did?
Yes,
Never,
Your Honor.
never.
And how far along was she when she called to tell you?
She was a couple of weeks, about 3 to 4 weeks, she said.
3 to 4 weeks. And your response was?
I might be the possible father because I was having sex with her unprotected multiple times. And at the time, she was messing with the other guy. But she kept telling me, oh, you're not the father, but I know I'm the
because
father.
he's not. And I wasn't 3 to 4
Did
weeks when I
you
told him.
ask her to be involved in the pregnancy? Did you say, I'd like to support you through this. I want to come to the doctor. I want to see my baby be born.
Nope, none of that.
Yes, Your Honor, I
None of
tried
that.
to.
Her dad, he was the one that was there. He went to appointments, every single appointment, and he took me there, took me home. He was supportive the whole
Did you
entire
tell him
pregnancy.
he was the only possible father, or did you tell him Mr. Moore could also be the biological father?
I told him he was the daddy.
She
He
told
was
me
the
I
daddy.
didn't need
No
to
other
worry
daddy.
about it, Your Honor.
He was the daddy.
So, is he on Aliana's
Your
birth
Honor.
certificate, your boyfriend?
He is mentioned on all of her hospital paperwork, and she has his last name.
She said I
And
was the
he's
father,
listed
Your
as
Honor.
father on the birth
Right,
certificate?
yes.
So the court was able to get a hold of her birth certificate. Under child's name, it reads Aliana Janelle, and then for father's name, there's no name listed.
Right, but they allowed me to give my daughter her dad's name, even though his name isn't on there because he physically wasn't there.
So, Miss Scott, what I don't understand is if you admittedly carried on this affair, this relationship with Mr. Moore,
It
you
wasn't-
moved
it didn't
in with him,
carry
you
on.
said July or August.
It was only a month. It lasted one
But
month.
you know it only takes one time
Yeah,
to get
I mean,
pregnant.
yeah,
So what
but-
I don't understand, no, I mean it does. You know that. You know that. What I'm trying to understand is why you automatically discount him like.
Because at the time when I found out, I was already 2 months pregnant. I messed around with Mr. Moore a couple times in a month's time frame. I was 2 months pregnant when I found out I was pregnant.
So when you found out you were pregnant, they said you were 8 weeks along.
Right.
And you had just been intimate with Mr. Moore
in
within
August,
the
I
month.
found out in September, yes, in August.
I want to understand this. Hold on. Let me get my conception calculator. So when was Aliana born?
April 25th.
April 25th, okay? If I hit calculate, the window of conception is July 28th to August 3rd. And you claim you were in a relationship with Mr. Moore in July.
We had sex, Your Honor, in July and August.
Not from my remembrance. No. It happened in August.
But you met Mr. Moore in July.
Yeah, we met
But
in July.
online.
Right.
You hadn't met in person yet.
No.
Until
August.
That-
No, until July. We moved in together in August. We had sex together in August.
after you moved in with him.
Right. We didn't have sex when we first met each other.
And he's saying, okay, and this is where the testimony differs significantly, because you say you had sex with her the first day
night.
you met her.
Yes,
Which
Your
he's
Honor.
wrong. He's wrong. We didn't have sex the first day we met. We had sex after we had moved in together in August.
Gotcha. So you're saying you were already pregnant
Right.
from the other guy when you moved in with Mr. Moore.
I was, but I didn't know. I didn't find out until September.
Okay.
But when I went and got the test done, and they told me how far along I was, and then that's when I figured out that at the time of me and Mr. Moore having sex together, I was already pregnant because I was 2 months pregnant.
This is what baffles me. I mean, two young people who can stand up here and articulate with great detail everything about a sexual relationship, but in 4 years, you haven't been able to communicate
Because
in
he's
any
not
way
the
about
dad.
this baby.
He's
You
not
want
the dad. I
about
don't wanna talk.
even to get the DNA test done. You've never met the child.
Never.
Your Honor, can I speak? My thing about it was how I heard of Adriana, and this is why I say he's the father, because when me and Mr. Moore first got together, like 2 months after we had gotten together, I had posted Duntavius on social media. And Miss Scott here, she commented on there, was like, I hope you got money for baby wipes and food and Pampers.
never did that.
Stuff
Never.
like that.
Never. Why would I do that? He not her daddy.
And then on top of that, right after when I had our son together in 2016, Mr. Moore had posted my son on social media. Miss Scott, she took it out of her own perspective and put my baby and her daughter in a collage and sent it to Mr. Moore and was like, we need to get a DNA test done.
Really?
Never
So
did
yeah,
that.
she did that.
Never did that. I never did that.
And photos of your son and Miss Scott's daughter was submitted to the court. And on the left side is Mr. Moore's other child with you, Ms. Williams.
Yes.
And on the right side is Aliana.
They don't look alike. His baby looks like him. My daughter looks like me, and she resembles her dad.
She looks like me. She got the same pointy ears just like I do.
Pointy ears. A lot of people have pointy ears. Her dad has pointy ears.
And she has the same forehead as resembles mine.
Child, this big old forehead on my head. Got my head, my forehead, look like me, my child.
They were supposed to do a DNA test when we stayed in Arkansas back here in 2015, but it never got done. They were communicating at one point, then they would stop.
Because he kept saying that he was her dad. If you her daddy, take a test.
So you were open to the DNA test because you knew he wasn't the
wasn't her
biological
daddy.
father.
Your Honor, she
Never
told me
denied
don't
a
even
test.
worry about her.
So when you said, fine, let's do the DNA, she's not your child, why didn't you ever get it done? She's 4.
He didn't make no effort. If you feel like she yours, even though she's not, which I know, come on, let's go
No,
take a
Your
test.
Honor, that is not what
So I
happened.
can prove to you that she's
every
not.
time he prepared to do it, she always informed him that her daughter was with her family member and all of this.
So
and
you
this.
feel like she was trying to avoid the
Yeah,
test?
that was my perspective. And like before she commented and posted, he never spoke of her any form of fashion
I'm not
way.
gonna comment and post
And he
and
never
ask no
mentioned
man
I
for
have a
nothing.
baby with my
No,
first love?
he never said nothing about a
Oh.
baby, nothing.
Cause he's not the daddy.
And then I asked him, I said, are you, when I went to him and I asked him about her, he was like, oh, she was messing around with someone else. And, you know, it's a possibility, but I don't know. That's what he was saying. It
So
was
he
a
done told
possibility.
her all this. She 4.
So
I
the-
was just not here at 4 years.
So, exactly.
She done told him all this. It's 4 years later.
Because you
If
didn't
you
want
felt
me to.
that way,
She didn't
why
want
didn't
him
it
to.
happen?
It
It didn't happen on my end because he not the daddy, but I never denied him of taking no test.
And why are you so upset, Miss Scott?
Because it's 4 years later. 4.
And that makes you feel like what?
Like like I just said, if you felt that way, you and your girlfriend, why are we just not here? Why we didn't been take a test? She's
yes,
4.
he did. I'm there. I was there.
And you feel like now...
I raised her. You ain't sent no money. You ain't sent no clothes, no shoes. Asked what size she wear. None of that. A real man would have said, okay, even though you denying that I am her dad, I believe she is. Let me send her some things. Let me send money for this. Let me send money for that. I probably would have said, we don't need it because you're not the dad, but that was never made. Those type of efforts were never made.
Because she stopped me from not being there for 4 years. She's blocked me out completely. And if she's 4 and now...
And you don't know her.
No, if she's
So
4...
it's your testimony today that you are going to be there for, support, and take care of a child who's 4 years old, whom you've never met, and the mother has moved on.
I know she's mine.
You know she's yours.
I know she's mine.
And Miss Scott, she's 4. Does she call anybody daddy?
Yes.
She has a father figure in her life.
Yes, she calls the man
That
whose last
man.
name she has, the man
Yeah.
whose last name she has,
Is dad.
she calls him dad, yes. And then,
And have you thought about what if Mr. Moore is her biological father? Where do we go from here?
I have.
You have thought about it.
Right, I
and
have.
what was your answer?
if a test, which it shouldn't, there's no way a test should say that he is the dad, but if it does, then hey, we will make efforts to have some type of relationship built with them too. Because it's not for me, it's
Right.
for her.
Good. Jerome, the envelope, please.
There you go.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Moore versus Scott, when it comes to 4-year-old Aliana, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Moore, you are the father. You are the father, Mr. Moore. That's your little girl.
That's 4 years I've missed out, but I'll make it up to her. I promise.
Miss Scott? What are you feeling right now?
I feel bad that to know that that is his child. She has not known him for 4 years. And I'm 23 years old. I've never had my dad. I always said if I ever had children, I wanted to always make sure my children had their biological daddy, and whether that man and I were together or not, to be in their lives. And now I feel like it's my fault because it's been 4 years. And I feel like I've wronged my daughter 4 years with him.
Listen, I see your pain, but what is so great about each and every day we live, it's another opportunity to do better and get it right. Neither one of you have handled it the best.